This year is flying, September is upon us, but that means that we need to recap the top 5 flips of August 2024. Just a quick reminder that the market can move quickly and aggressively. Just because these flips worked for me in August 2024 does not mean that they will work at whatever time you're watching this. Make sure to do your own research before making any purchases. So the month of August was actually very similar to the month of July. We did end up selling more cards in August, but the cards that we sold had less of a profit margin. So as you'll see, our actual sales numbers are much higher, but our actual profit is a little bit less than we sold last month. So for the month of August, we sold a total of 33 different cards for a gross sales amount of $2,150.31. So after all the fees come out from eBay, we profited $582.36. That is an overall return on investment percentage this month of 47.7%. You guys have probably already seen the videos, but I did a local show this month, the Wake Forest Comic-Con. Overall, for a one-day, 6-hour show, we did fairly decently. We had over $2,300 in sales, which really boosted this month's overall sales amount. One thing that's unfortunately going to change going forward is I'm actually losing the comic book shop consignment space because the comic book shop will be going out of business at the end of the year. So that line of passive income that I've had the last couple years is going to be going away. This really not only sucks for me, but it also sucks for Brandon, the shop owner. Thankfully, he's already found a new job, but it really sucks to see someone that has similar dreams to me not succeed in that and have to move on to a different venture. The great thing about this space is it's filled with awesome people and a bunch of awesome people who are also in different parts of the Pokemon card business structures. So I have a lot of friends that do live streaming on eBay and whatnot. I have a lot of friends that do consignment services. So I'll probably be leaning into more of those relationships going forward since I won't have that consignment space to kind of sell my grading misses or sell packs or sell those different products through. Hopefully I'll be able to sell those products through some of the people that I've met so far over the years. All right, enough dilly-dallying, let's get into the top 5 flips of the month. The number 5 flip is this PSA 10 Dragonite from the 2015 Japanese card set Emerald Break. This card only has a PSA population of 66. Now, Dragonite has a lot of fantastic artworks through a lot of different cards, and this is definitely one that I'm not huge on. I'm not a big fan of these CGI style artworks, and it just looks very static. I know he's supposed to be like punching the ground, making it shake, or destroying the rock, but it just feels kind of like someone placed an action figure on top of like a piece of rock that they like. It almost feels like a photo that someone statically put together. It just doesn't really do it for me. But Dragonite is a super popular Pokemon. A lot of people out there love Dragonite, so I decided I would grab a couple of these and grade them and sell them, and surprisingly, it did pretty well for me. I was able to buy this card for $11.42, and after the $15 grading fee from PSA, the total all-in price is $26.42. Luckily, it got a PSA 10 after grading, and I was able to sell this card for $62.99, making my total profit for this card $27.32. That is an ROI percentage of 103.4%. As you guys probably know, there are a couple of metrics that I like to share along with all of the other metrics in this video, and those two metrics are how long it took me after getting it back from PSA, did it actually take to sell, and I also like to compare buy it now sales to auction sales to see if I did any better or worse than I would have if I had auctioned the card versus selling buy it now on eBay. I got this card back into submission on May 16th and it sold August 12th. So about 3 months after I got it back and put it on eBay, which isn't too horrible. I'd like for it to be about 1 or 2 months, but 3 months on a card like this, that's good enough for me. So the most recent auction sale that I could find for this particular card was actually on Fanatics, and it sold for $50 with the buyer premium. So once again, it's becoming a trend in a lot of these videos. Selling it buy it now on eBay seems to garner a little bit more for the seller than selling a lot of these cards at auction. So we made $13 more than the last auction sale selling buy it now. The number 4 flip is this PSA 10 Charizard from the 2016 Japanese specialty set, the Pokekune collection. This card has one of the highest populations we've seen so far in these top flips videos of 2,845. So the one thing to note about this Charizard is I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, this might be the only uncommon Charizard in existence, which is probably why there's so many of them graded. I'm assuming it was fairly easy to pull from the Pokécune collection. It's also one of the first examples I'm aware of where the evolution line on the cards actually tells a bit of a story. So the Charmander of this card actually has a beautiful reverse hollow like heart foil across the front. It's awesome. But it has a picture of a young kid running after it crying. The Charmeleon has more of like a teenager on the card. And then the Charizard has the adult version of the trainer on the card. So you kind of grow up as the evolution evolved. So I was able to find a minty copy of this card for $20. A lot of times you can actually get the set of the three of them, the Charmander, Charmeleon, and the Charizard, fairly decently priced. And then the Charmeleon and the Charmander can kind of offset the cost of the Charizard. So after the $15 grading fee, my total all-in cost is $35. The price of this card has been coming down fairly rapidly over time. I've been flipping these for the last couple years, and I think the PSA 10 started above 100, like the 120 range, and now obviously for this card I sold it on eBay for $76.49, and for me that was a total profit in this situation of $30.58. That leaves me with an ROI percentage of 87.4%. I got this card back from PSA on March 5th and it sold on August 16th, taking it about 4.5 months to sell. I think when cards like this are on a constant trend downward, I think it takes a little longer for people to want to buy in, because a lot of people recognize, okay, if I wait another 3 months, another 6 months, another year, maybe this card will be even cheaper. So I should hold off and I should not purchase right now. Now, you never know when the bottom is going to happen and the card is going to get more expensive. So you really got to keep an eye on these things. But for right now, this card has been on a trend downward ever since I started buying and flipping them a year and a half, 2 years ago. But that being said, it's one of my favorite Charizard cards. It's absolutely beautiful and I personally love it. This might be the first time in these videos that we've seen an auction go for a little bit more than my buy it now price. One of these cards recently sold at auction for $77.69. So in this particular scenario, auctioning the card net that person $1 more than my buy it now price. The number 3 flip of the month is this PSA 10 Ampharos from the 2008 Japanese card set Galactic's Conquest. This card has the lowest PSA population of all the other cards in the video of only 53 copies. This might surprise people because I constantly get labeled as a Gen 1er because I love Charizard, but Ampharos is in my top 10 favorite Pokemon along with Heracross. He's one of my favorites as well. This is a super cute artwork of Ampharos by Nishida, and I really hope that if we get Megas again going forward with the new video game, that we get to see Mega Ampharos luscious 80s hairband locks again. One of the absolute best Mega designs in my opinion. I found a great looking copy of this card for only $9. That means after the $15 grading fee, I'm all in for $24. I was able to recently sell this card for $74.99, which leaves me a total profit of $38 after eBay takes all their fees. At the end of the day, that is an ROI percentage of 158.3%. I got this card back from PSA on May 16th, and I sold the card on August 27th. So it took just over 3 months for this card to sell buy it now on my eBay. Now this card has one of the biggest differences that we've seen yet, auction versus buy it now. I think that's because Ampharos is a lesser popular Pokemon. A lot less people are looking for Ampharos mid-era hollows, especially right now. So to auction a card like this, you're taking a bit of a risk. The last PSA 10 copy of this card to sell via auction only sold with 4 bids for $30. So in this extreme case, the buy it now listing net me $44 more than the last sold auction on eBay. The number 2 flip of the month is this PSA 10 Gardevoir and Sylveon GX from the 2019 Japanese Pokemon card set Night Unison. This regular full art version of the card only has 203 in the PSA population, which feels surprisingly low for it being a 2019 moderish card featuring an evolution. I feel like I would have expected more of those to be graded by now. Now these cards can definitely be hit or miss. So I like to buy these cards every once in a while because I actually like the full art versions of these cards and they have an evolution. This one has an evolution and Gardevoir, 2 very popular Pokemon on the card. Full art version of the card, a little bit harder to pull. So all of those factoring into my internal brain calculator turns out to be a decent buy every once in a while at the right price. Now last year around this time, a lot of these tag team cards skyrocketed to the moon because the Chinese collectors started to get back into Pokemon after Pokemon started to release Chinese product. And for some reason, a lot of those collectors really focused on the Sun and Moon era. I think maybe because the Sun and Moon era is what started to come out in China at the time. So a lot of these full arts, a lot of the rainbows, a lot of the trainer cards from this era really skyrocketed to the moon, and they came down just as fast, nearly 3 weeks to a month later later, they fell straight to the bottom. So I was able to buy this card for $20.36. So that means after the $15 grading fee, my total cost was $35.36. I was then able to sell the card for $95, making my total profit after all the eBay fees $45.93. That leaves me an ROI percentage of 48.3%. I got this card back for PSA on June 20th, and the card sold on August 30th. So just about 2 months, that nice sweet spot for it to sell on my eBay. The last auction sale for this card that I could find was on Fanatics last year in September, sold for $101 with buyer's premium. Not quite sure how serious we could take a sale from that far back, but that auction sold for $6 more than my buy it now did at $95. Last but not least, the number one flip of the month is this PSA 10 Espeon from the 2010 Pokemon card set Reviving Legends. This card has a surprisingly high PSA population of 522, given how old it is coming out in 2010. But, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I think that every pack in this Heart Gold Soul Silver era in Japanese came with a holo. So it wouldn't surprise me if there were a ton of these out there. One thing that I really love about Gen 2 Johto, what I think is really well illustrated in a lot of the cards from that era, especially in Reviving Legends, is the setting of that generation definitely felt more feudal Japan. They definitely leaned more into the traditional Japanese architecture, the different shrines and things from that era. And I personally am really fascinated and really love that style and design. So the Umbreon from this set, the Espeon from this set, some other cards from the set, definitely lean further into that aesthetic, and I really enjoy that a lot. I was able to pick up this copy for $29.76, making my total cost after the $15 grading fee $44.76. I then sold the card for $116.99, which after eBay took all their fees, leaves me with a total profit of $52.67. And that is an ROI percentage of 117.7%. I got this card back from PSA on January 29th, and it sold later that year on August 6th. So it surprisingly took a solid 7 months for this card to sell on my eBay. This is definitely another one of those cards that continues to kind of trickle down in price as the time goes on and as more of these cards are graded. I think there's still a lot of these cards from this era out there in really minty condition, so take that into consideration when you're looking at buying these cards right now in PSA 10. There are multiple auction sales for this card in PSA 10 that have sold between $90 and $100. One ending at $92, one ending at $95, one ending at $99. So we made about an extra $17, $18 by being patient and selling it by now. But is $17, $18 worth it sitting on eBay for 7 months? That's for you to decide. Well, there you have it. Those are my top 5 flips for the month of August. I want to thank you guys very much for getting me above 5,000 subscribers. This video is actually going to come out right after my birthday, so I just wanted to thank you all for the birthday gift of supporting the channel and getting me to that 5,000 subscriber mark. And of course, if you like the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you're not already, and you can click right here on the screen to check out July's top 5 flips video.